Hey everyone, Wolf Lord Rho here, and so the Psychic Awakening has begun, with the focus kicking off with the Eldar and the first campaign book, Phoenix Rising. And on that note, in preparation for it, we have been treated to 3 short stories on warhammercommunity.com setting the scene on what's to come. The first of which is called The Path, and it shows us how the rise of the Ynnead is affecting the craft worlds. And so of course, it's only right that together we take an in-depth look at what it all could mean. Be sure to check out the story for yourself on Warhammer Community. I'll put a link in the description. It's free, so there's no reason not to head over and give it a read. So with that said, let's jump straight in. Arbane paused in her labours, her quill poised above the parchment. Outside the dome, a quiet had fallen. Within, the Farseer continued his impassioned monologue, while the rest of the gathered dignitaries listened with varying degrees of patience. This course of action cannot be conscienced. There is too much at risk to wantonly embrace the cult of death. You have all witnessed the peril of this path in the destruction of Biel-Tan, the Farseer intoned gravely. Aware that she was falling behind, Arbane etched his words hastily onto her canvas, adding embellishments to her runes that best communicated the Farseer's zeal. On her path as a rune scribe, she had captured the words of countless leaders, each of them speaking at assemblies such as this. But never before had she felt so much portent in her words. She sensed that history was being written, and she was one of those tasked with writing it. So, debate over the new faction of the Ynnead and the awakening Ynnead, God of Death. Just as throughout our history where countries have been divided over the direction to take, so too here are the Eldar. The particular craft world we are on is not mentioned. The only thing we do know is that it's not Biel-Tan, as the Farseer uses that example to bolster his own argument. They don't want their craft world being shattered, such as Biel-Tan. And I think it's not named very intentionally, because as I said earlier, this is happening on all craft worlds, as a people here are torn between tradition and hope. Still, despite the gravity of her duty, she found herself distracted. Her mind wandered to what was unfolding beyond the confines of the crystalline dome. The sensation of this troubled her deeply, as it was through unfettered thought and desire that one could so easily fall into depravity and madness. Never before had she been tempted from her path, and the thought of that fate made her scratch the words into her parchment with renewed determination. As she wrote, a chill entered the chamber, and through the opaque crystal wall she saw the sky outside darken. Arbane shivered as if a cold hand had touched her. Something was coming. Although she fought it, she felt compelled to go outside. It was as if another mind was guiding her, another's thoughts divining her actions. The Farseer was still talking, but others in the gathering had noticed the change and were whispering amongst themselves. Arbane let the quill drop from her hand, the rune she was working on never to be completed. Interesting here that she almost feels like she's not even in control of her own actions. Being compelled by something or someone. Is this the call of Ynnead? Outside, the screeching of the howling banshees rent the air, followed quickly by the unmistakable sound of clashing blades and painful deaths. Whoops and cries cut through the Farseer's speech, the war cry of grievous wounds in their desperation to join the fray. A group of pale-skinned beasts clad in dark leather straps were tearing their way through the battle line. And as she steps outside, chaos has come. Slaanesh demons overrunning the craft world. And like we can probably expect, like the debates that are happening across the galaxy on all the craft worlds, so too is the coming of chaos. With the opening of the Great Rift, never before has chaos been so ascendant since the days of the Horus Heresy. And what choice do the Eldar have? They can cling on to what survival they still have, desperately defending their homes until the last. Or they can fight. And that's exactly what she does. Literally leaving the safety of the dome behind her and entering the fray, figuratively leaving her chosen path behind her and adopting a new one, she enters the battle. Here was the madness she had feared would come for her if she abandoned her path. But she knew now that was not going to be her fate. She was driven by a new kind of clarity. She leapt at one of the lilac-skinned creatures that was carving its way through the Ynnari line, slashing and stabbing at the squirming form with her dagger. She knew nothing but the desire to protect her kin and the future of her race. As the demon fell beneath her furious blows, it reached out an ebony claw and cut her throat with a single motion. The cut was so clean Arbane barely felt it. And as her vision faded, she saw, with satisfaction, the creature lying dead beside her. Death claimed her, and she welcomed it. Joining countless others, she could hear their thoughts now, and she understood. This had always been her path. Yvraine opened her eyes, the dream still vivid in her mind. It was one of many she had borne witness to of late, and she was sure it would not be the last. All over the galaxy, the path of the Eldari race was being decided by its members, those who chose to cling to the old ways, and those who were driven to join her cause. Fate hung in the balance, and its course could be altered by even the smallest of actions. Only one thing was certain: death would come for them all. And here we have the leader of the cause. I haven't read any of the novels yet, but I really think I need to get my hands on them. She's the chosen one of the God of Death. She's almost single-handedly bearing the pressure of salvation for the entire civilization. And still such a fractured one at that. Embraced by her followers, yet shunned by the rest. And still at such a pivotal moment of balance for the future of the Eldar. How fitting is it that final line, death would come for them all. Embrace Ynnead, the god of death. Or resist and, slowly but surely, see the death of the Eldar anyway. Wow, food for thought there. But what did you think, guys? Traditionalist craftworlder or embracing the coming god of death? And what of Yvraine? Love her or hate her? As always, drop your thoughts in the comments below. I love to read them and interact with you. It's very interesting to think exactly what has been going on with the Eldar since all this happened. We focus so much on the Imperium, and of course rightly so. But the Eldar here still have such a huge role to play. A huge thank you to all my subscribers as always, and if you're new, then please consider subscribing to the channel to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. But with that said, I'm off, and I'll see you guys again real soon.